Welcome to Mr. Giant Reacts a Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant, and today we're going to be watching 10 safest countries in the world in 2022. Of course, you have to take into consideration, what's considered safe, you know what I mean, to certain people. Uh, there could be conflict going on, but you could still feel safe. I mean, I could say for myself during our revolution, where around the world everybody's talking about the evil socialists and they're doing this. I felt pretty safe, despite the fact that there were more guns on the island than I've ever seen before. I still felt safe because of the people. That you know what I'm saying? The people didn't act hostile. They didn't act vicious. I'm not saying there wasn't some times when they did, but I never felt unsafe. And I'll be totally honest with you. When I landed here in this country, because it was a different culture, I felt more unsafe here than I did during the revolution and back home. And I can't say the war because that was outsiders coming in on us, the invasion. So no, that definitely wasn't safe. I didn't feel safe. But even when we had the revolution, the two revolutions, and I didn't feel unsafe. But let's go in here and see which countries you're gonna say is the safest countries in 2022. Let's YouTube and simmer.
Qualities the world's safest countries have in common. There are some commonalities among the safest countries in the world. For instance, safe countries tend to display high levels of wealth, social welfare, and education. Additionally, safe countries typically have effective criminal justice systems and governments that maintain very healthy relationships with their citizens. Profiles of the world's 10 safest countries. 1. Iceland. According to the Global Peace Index, Iceland is the safest country in the world for the 14th year in a row.
Wow.
Iceland is a Nordic nation with a relatively small population of 340,000. Iceland has a very low level of crime, which is typically attributed to its high standard of living, small population, strong social attitudes against crime, a high level of trust in their well-trained police force, and a lack of tension between social and economic classes. Iceland has no military, and the police do not carry firearms with them, only extendable batons and pepper spray. Iceland also has laws in place to guarantee equality, such as legal same-sex marriage and same-sex adoptions, religious freedom, and equal pay for men and women. 2. New Zealand. New Zealand is the second safest.
Okay, so now what he sort of said on there is that the economic or the wealthier country seems to be safer. And then he started to describe Iceland. The cops don't carry guns; they have a baton and pepper spray. That's kind of like home. Uh, but apparently my little island is the seventh richest island in the Caribbean. But to me, we're not like rich, you know what I mean? We live kind of okay. Now, just because a country is poor doesn't mean that they're not safe there. Like, we still don't lock doors there. The murder rate is really low. And my brother still lives there, and he never tell me that he feels unsafe. He lives in a nice little village, and even if you live in the city, it's the same thing. And I think the safety depends on the people and how they are with each other, especially, because how you are with each other is how you're going to treat strangers, right? But to say that it's only like wealthy countries, if that's what they're saying, is the safest because they have higher standard of living. There is okay. How about you go into like let's break it down a little bit. You're going to like a tribe in the jungle. Are you safe there? Is the only thing like who is not really open to the outside world? Are you really safe there? What are the murder rates? I know it's hard to go in there and check that out, you know what I mean? And most of them pretty much live below the standards of what people think is First Nations here, or First World Nations. So I think from my own experience and from a little bit of traveling I have done, what makes the country safe It's not whether or not the economy is good, it's whether the people treat each other like human beings. That's what makes it safe. Because some of the richest countries have a really high. I live in one of the richest countries in the world, and the crime rate is high here. I mean, there was a shooting right up the street, about a block and a half, like a couple of weeks ago up here. One guy died. I didn't know what happened. You know what I mean? There's some dispute happening in a bar. This kid pull out a gun, pop, pop, start shooting, kill somebody in a restaurant next to the bar that he was shooting at. And I used to work with one of the kids that got involved in that. I mean, I used to, every day he was there with me working. You know what I mean? So I don't leave here at night. This is supposed to be a first world country, right? This is supposed to be a, you know, big industrialized country and stuff like that. And according to him, that's what makes them safe. Let's get back to the video here. My battery on my computer was running low there for a minute because I kick off the the socket. But anyway, let's get back to this.
Country in the world. Like Iceland, New Zealand has a very low crime rate, and violent crime is especially rare. Theft is still worth guarding against, especially in tourist areas, which holds true in every country in the world, but overall risk is minimal. Unlike its neighbor Australia, which is known for its dangerous wildlife, box jellyfish, taipan snakes, stonefish, funnel web spiders, and more, New Zealand has no deadly animals. New Zealanders are generally open-minded and have laws in place to prevent the violation of anyone's freedom of speech or expression. As in Iceland, police in New Zealand do not carry personal firearms. 3. Ireland. Ireland became notably more peaceful in 2021 and vaulted from 11th place to 3rd in the 2022 rankings as a result. Crime is quite low outside of a few city neighborhoods, and as in any country, one should be wary of pickpockets and scammers in tourist-dense areas, and there is little threat of cultural violence or terrorism. In fact, the Irish landscape may pose a greater safety risk than its people. The country's breathtaking cliffs and winding country roads must be treated with respect, especially during a sudden rainstorm or in areas with no cell reception. 4. Denmark. Ranked 4th on the 2022 Global Peace Index, Denmark is another of the safest and happiest countries in the world. Denmark is one of the few countries where people report feeling safe at any time of day or night, even children. Denmark has a high level of equality and a strong sense of common responsibility for social welfare, two qualities that contribute to its citizens' feelings of safety and happiness. Corruption is rare in Danish business or politics, as honesty and trust are top priorities. While Denmark has a high personal income tax, these taxes fund social programs that ensure everyone receives services and perks that help them live comfortable lives. For example, everyone in Denmark has access to tuition-free higher education and healthcare with no additional fees to them, and the elderly are provided at-home care helpers. 5. Austria. Austria ranked as the 5th safest country in the world for 2022. While violent demonstrations in the wake of ongoing social unrest remain a concern, these are relatively easy to avoid, and otherwise, Austria is a very safe country to visit. Serious crimes are uncommon, with the usual caveat to watch for pickpockets and purse snatchers. Additionally, Austria has been spared any major acts of terrorism in recent years. 6. Portugal. Portugal comes in 6th in the most peaceful countries rankings for 2022. In 2014, Portugal was ranked 18th globally and has since made significant strides. Unlike Iceland and New Zealand, Portugal has armed police. However, an increased police presence has resulted in a decreased crime rate in the country. In recent years, Portugal has experienced an economic resurgence, decreasing its unemployment rate from over 17% to under 7%.
Wow.
Portugal consistently ranks among the best countries for retirement, due in no small part to its high level of safety.
Love that
7.
look.
Slovenia. One of the former members of Yugoslavia, Slovenia's high safety ranking can be attributed to its excellent scores in not one, but 3 separate categories: travel security, medical risks, and road safety. Like many Slavic states, Slovenia installed a democratic government in the mid-1990s and is now focused upon improving quality of life in many areas, including safety and sustainability. 8. Czech Republic. Crime rates in the Czech Republic have steadily decreased over the years, with rates of violent crime in particular dropping significantly. The Czech Republic also has a low incidence of terrorism and natural disasters. Finally, the Czech Republic boasts many clean and efficient hospitals and a state-run health insurance system that offers affordable rates and enables near-universal coverage. 9.
I have to admit, some of these are really surprising me. You know what I mean? Like the Czech Republic and then the Slovenia and stuff. And I do know why. It's the image that people on this side of the pond have of places like that. You know what I mean? If you have anything to do with a name that sounds like a certain superpower, they automatically assume that that culture has infiltrated this culture and have totally changed the people into what that dominant culture is. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. You know, it's kind of like, okay, so Cuba is like a communist country, and Russia is in charge of it, or used to be in charge of everything that happens there. You know, if not explicitly but implicitly, right? So then there's this demonization of Cubans and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, before our revolution, I felt that way too. You know what I mean? Which is really sad that we associate a whole group of people with something that the government did. And then the Cubans came to the island to help build the airport, and it's like, wait a minute, they're just like me. They're just people working, trying to have fun. Man, they were drunk and drinking all the time and partying, just like we do at certain times of the year. You know, they just did it every day. But you know, they were just simply like me. You know what I mean? And but you know, because of the image you have of that part of Europe there, you don't, it doesn't equate to you that they might be really peaceful there. You know, and you know, no, I'm interested in going to visit Slovenia and the Czech Republic and stuff like that. I want to go see it there because, as you could tell by the architecture, it's beautiful over there. Let's get back to the video.
Singapore. Singapore ranks 9th on the GPI for 2022.
Singapore.
In a Gallup report from 2018, Singapore residents felt the highest sense of personal security and had more positive experiences with law enforcement than did residents of any other country. Singapore has one of the lowest crime rates in the world, possibly due to the severe penalties that are issued for even small crimes. The government and police strictly control guns and other firearms, and violent and confrontational crimes are rare in Singapore. As a city-state, Singapore also ranks as the second safest city in the world according to the Safe Cities Index from the Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU. In 2019, Singapore ranked first for infrastructure security and personal security, second for digital security, and 8th for health security.
Wow.
10. Japan. The 10th safest country in the world for 2022 is Japan. Japan has been in the top 10 countries in the Global Peace Index for 14 years,
wow,
consistently receiving high marks for low crime rates, minimal internal conflict, and virtually non-existent political unrest. Japan's proximity to potentially hostile neighbors China and North Korea could become a threat to its safety at some point, but has not thus far. Japan is known for having limited immigration and limited access to firearms, as the Japanese do not view carrying a firearm as an individual's right. According to the Safe Cities Index from the Economist Intelligence Unit, Tokyo was considered the safest city in the world in 2019, ranking first in cybersecurity, second for health security, and fourth for infrastructure security and personal security. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell.
This was interesting, you know. It's ironic that Japan is number 10 on the list, because I was just, and I'll tell you, about 2 hours ago, I was just watching a video where a gentleman was wanting to go into the seedy areas of Japan, you know, and he was talking about the Yakuza. I think they call them the Yakuza headquarters are here, and boom, boom. But the funny part about it is, he said he went into the ghetto, but he also said that it's really safe here. You know what I mean? It's seedy looking, but it's really safe here because, you know, he was an American guy from New York, and he wasn't speaking the language fluently, and he's just like trekking through the area, chilling, met some people at the bar, sat down and have a conversation with them. But this is supposed to be the ghetto of the Japan, you know, and all these gangsters are supposed to have the headquarters there and stuff like that. I guess we tend to equate what we think of as a ghetto with what ghettos are like all over the world. And that's why I always tell people, especially people here, before you make any kind of a assumption, do some traveling, man. Do some traveling, you know? And I have a story about that, but I'm going to save it for another video, because I had to correct one of my co-workers because he kind of irritated me a little bit by making a statement of which he didn't know anything about. But I'll leave a link in the description for this video. You all could go check it out. I'll also leave some cards here and some pop-ups on the tops of videos that I think you would be interested in. So you could just click on them, go watch them and take it. You know what I mean? I hope you guys are taking care of each other, alright? And hey, let's just make life cool runnings.